Ladies and gentlemen, listen. Listen to me. I stand in the dust of the street, my hands empty, but my eyes full of what I see. Something is not right in Tel Aviv. The war? It is not just noise anymore. It is not just news on screens. Missiles have already shaken the streets. Sirens, screaming through the night, people running into shelters, hearts trembling like leaves in a storm. Even now, the sky above is not peaceful. It carries fear. And now the crows, black wings, circling, watching, people whisper, what does it mean? Some say it is nothing, just birds. But others feel something deeper, something heavy in the air. When war comes, even the smallest signs start to feel like warnings. You see, fear has already entered the hearts. Reports say explosions, damage, and injuries are happening as missiles reach central Israel. People are not sleeping, they are waiting, waiting for the next sound, the next siren, the next siren, the next unknown. And in that fear, when crows gather in the sky, it feels like the sky itself is speaking. Oh, people, understand this. Sometimes it is not the crows that bring fear. It is what is already inside the hearts of men. War creates shadows, and in those shadows, every sign looks like a message. I am just a poor voice in the street, but I say this. When the world burns, even the birds cannot fly in peace. Look around, listen carefully, because the real mystery is not in the sky, it is in what humanity has become. Listen, come closer, don't walk away yet. I know you think it's just noise, just another voice on the street asking for attention. But I am not asking for coins. Today, I am asking you to listen with your heart, because what I am about to say is something you already feel, even if you don't admit it. You see those birds, those black wings cutting through the sky, circling, watching, calling out in voices that sound like warnings. Once upon a time, nobody cared. A crow was just a crow. It would sit on a wire, pick at scraps, fly away, and life would go on. Children would throw stones at it, laugh, run, no fear, no meaning attached. Just a bird living its life. But now everything feels different. Now, when people look up and see those same birds, their hearts tighten, their breath slows, their eyes search for meaning. Why are they gathering? They whisper. Why are they circling like this? And suddenly, something so ordinary becomes something heavy, something dark. But tell me, did the crow change? No, it is the heart of the people that changed. War does that. Fear does that. It enters quietly, like a thief in the night, and it steals something you didn't even realize you were losing. It steals your peace first, then your sense of safety, and after that, it steals your ability to see things clearly. When the sirens scream and the ground shakes, when the sky flashes with things that are not stars but fire, the human mind begins to break in small, silent ways. It starts connecting things that were never meant to be connected. It starts searching for signs, for patterns, for anything that can explain the chaos. Because the truth, the real truth, is too heavy to accept. That sometimes there is no hidden message. Sometimes it is just destruction, just fear, just the consequences of choices made by people far away from the streets, far away from the cries of ordinary souls. But the human heart, it cannot live with that emptiness. It needs meaning. It needs to believe that something is speaking, that something is warning, that something is guiding. So it looks at the sky and it turns birds into omens. You see a crow and your mind whispers, "This is not normal." You hear its cry and your chest feels tight, like it carries a message meant only for you. You watch it circle and suddenly it feels like the world is trying to say something dark, something coming. But listen carefully. It is not the crow speaking. It is your fear. Fear is a powerful thing, stronger than hunger, stronger than cold nights on these streets. I know fear, I live with it every day. The fear of not eating, the fear of not surviving, the fear of being invisible. But even that fear, even that deep, personal fear, is nothing compared to the fear of war. War fear is different. It spreads like smoke. It enters every home, every street, every thought. It doesn't knock before entering. It doesn't ask permission. It just takes over. And when it takes over, it changes the way you see everything. A loud sound becomes an explosion. A shadow becomes a threat. A stranger becomes danger. And a crow becomes a warning. You start living in a world where nothing is just what it is anymore. Everything feels like a sign. Everything feels like it carries meaning. You begin to read into things, to search deeper, to question every detail. Why are the birds louder today? Why is the sky so quiet before night? Why does everything feel off? But what you are really feeling is not the world changing. It is your mind trying to survive. Because when reality becomes too painful, the mind creates stories. It builds connections. It tries to make sense of chaos, even if the sense it creates is not real. And slowly, without realizing, people begin to live in a different kind of reality. A reality where fear paints everything darker, where ordinary things carry extraordinary weight, where a simple bird becomes a symbol of something unseen. I have seen people look at the sky with tears in their eyes, not because of what is actually there, but because of what is actually there, but because of what they feel inside. That is the power of fear. It doesn't just live in you, it changes the world around you. But listen, listen carefully to this poor voice standing before you. The crow is not your enemy. The sky is not sending you secrets. The wind is not whispering warnings. These are things that have always been here. What has changed is the peace inside you. When peace leaves, fear takes its place. And when fear takes its place, it starts speaking in every sound, every shadow, every movement. It turns the ordinary into something heavy, something unbearable. And the saddest part, the most painful truth, is that people begin to believe it. They begin to trust the fear more than reality. They begin to live as if every sign is real, every feeling is truth, every shadow is danger. And in doing so, they lose something very important. They lose clarity, because clarity requires calm. It requires a still heart, a quiet mind. But in times of war, there is no stillness, there is no quiet, there is only noise, inside and outside. And so the mind keeps running, keeps searching, keeps creating meanings where there are none. You see crows gathering, and your heart says, something is coming. But maybe nothing is coming from them at all. Maybe. The only thing that has already come is fear. And fear is enough to make the world feel like it is ending, even when it is not. I am not educated. I do not have books or big words. I only have what I see, what I feel, what I understand from living in the shadows of this world. And what I understand is this: when humans are pushed to the edge, when they are surrounded by uncertainty and danger, they begin to see meaning in everything, because meaning feels safer than chaos, even if that meaning is born from fear, even if that meaning is born from fear, even if that meaning is not real. So when you look at those crows, don't just look at them, look inside yourself. Ask yourself, am I seeing a bird or am I seeing my fear? Because the answer to that question, that is where the real truth lives. And until people learn to see the difference, the world will continue to feel heavier than it really is, darker than it truly is, and full of signs that were never meant to be signs at all. I stand here with empty hands, but I give you this one thought. Take it, keep it, think about it. When the sky feels strange and the birds feel different, sometimes it is not the world that has changed. Sometimes it is the heart that is no longer at peace. Come, don't rush away. I know the world is loud and everyone is shouting their own truth, but hear this broken voice for a moment. I stand here with nothing in my hands, but I have watched people, I have watched fear, and I have watched how quickly we blame the sky for what is born on the ground. You say there is a mystery. You look up at the sky of Tel Aviv, you see the crows, you hear the whispers, and your heart begins to tremble. Something is happening, people say, something beyond us, something hidden. And the more they speak, the more it grows. The fear becomes thicker, like smoke you cannot escape. But listen, listen carefully. The real mystery is not above your head, it is inside your world. It is inside your world. It is inside human hands. It is inside human choices. Because tell me, who built the weapons? Who filled the skies with fire instead of rain? Who turned nights into something people fear instead of something they rest in? Was it the birds? Was it the wind? Was it the silent sky? No, it was people. It has always been people. You look at the sky searching for answers, but the truth is walking on the ground, wearing shoes, making decisions, speaking orders that shake entire cities. The sky has always been silent. It only reflects what we send into it. When there is peace, the sky feels wide, open, endless, almost like hope. But when there is war, the same sky becomes heavy, dark, suffocating, not because it changed, but because we filled it with fear. And then we forget. We forget that we are the ones who changed it. So we begin to ask questions in the wrong direction. We look up instead of looking within. We search for signs instead of searching for reasons. We blame shadows instead of facing reality. That is the real mystery. How humans can create chaos and then act as if they are victims of something unknown. I have seen it, not in big cities only, but in small corners of life too. A man breaks something with his own hands, and then he stands there asking, why did this happen? As if the answer is not right there in his own actions. War is the same, just louder, bigger, more painful. You hear about Iran and Israel, about tension rising like a storm that refuses to break but keeps building, heavier and heavier and heavier. You hear about missiles, threats, fear spreading across borders. And in all of this, people begin to feel small, powerless, confused, so they search for something else to explain it, something mystical, something hidden, something that makes it feel like there is a deeper meaning behind the suffering. Because accepting the truth that humans are doing this to each other, that is too painful. It is easier to say, the sky is warning us. It is easier to say the crows know something. It is easier to believe in science than to face responsibility. But the truth does not hide in wings or shadows. The truth stands in decisions. Every war begins with a choice, not a mystery, not a sign, a choice. A decision made in a room far away from the streets where people run in fear. A decision spoken calmly, but carrying the weight of chaos. A decision that turns ordinary lives into stories of survival. And once that choice is made, everything else follows. The fear, the destruction, the sleepless nights, the searching for meaning in things that were never meant to hold meaning. Because when people cannot control what is happening, they try to control how they understand it. They try to make it make sense, even if the sense they create is built on illusions. That is why a crow becomes more than a crow. That is why silence feels louder than noise. That is why people begin to say, there is something strange happening. But what is truly strange? What is truly difficult to understand is not the behavior of birds or the patterns in the sky. It is the behavior of humans. How we can live, laugh, build love, and then suddenly turn everything into fear and fire. How we can know the pain of loss and still create more of it. How we can see the consequences and still walk the same path again and again. That is the real mystery. Not the sky, not the signs, not the shadows, but the human heart. Because the same heart that can show kindness can also create destruction. The same mind that can build peace can also plan war. The same hands that can help can also harm. And yet, we keep looking away from that truth. We keep searching outside. We keep asking questions that lead us further from the answer. You stand under the sky and wonder what it means, but the sky is only holding what we have already sent into it. It is not creating the fear, it is reflecting it, like a mirror, a silent mirror. And when you look into it, you see not just clouds or birds, you see the result of human choices. That is why it feels heavy. That is why it feels like something is wrong, because something is wrong, but not in the sky, in us, in the way we choose, in the way we respond, in the way we allow fear, power, anger, and pride to guide decisions that affect millions. And the hardest part, the part people do not want to face, is that this mystery has no hidden answer waiting to be discovered. It is already known, it is already visible, it is already happening. But accepting it means accepting responsibility. And responsibility is heavy. It is easier to believe in science than to carry that weight. So people continue to look at the sky. They continue to talk about crows. They continue to whisper about mysteries, while the real answers walk past them every day, unnoticed, unspoken. I am just a voice from the street. I do not have power. I do not have influence. I do not have a place in those rooms where decisions are made, but I see things in a simple way. And sometimes simplicity holds more truth than complexity. The sky is not hiding secrets. The earth is not sending signs. What is happening is the result of what humans have chosen to do. And until that truth is faced, truly faced, the fear will not go away. The confusion will not end. The search for meaning in the wrong places will continue. You will keep looking up, while the answers remain below. So when you hear people say, there is a mystery in the sky, stop for a moment, think, ask yourself, is the mystery really up there? Or is it in the way we live, the way we decide, the way we continue down paths that lead to the same pain again and again? Because the real mystery is not hidden, it is simply avoided. And as long as it is avoided, the world will keep feeling like a place full of signs and shadows, when in reality, it is a place shaped by human hands.